Just trying to. I've got two machines running here. I'm just trying to get it not to go crazy here.
Okay, shall I start?
Can you see my screen?
Let's have a look. Yes, we can. Do you want to just put it into presenter mode? Perfect. Brilliant. Okay, so let's get going. So, good morning, everyone. Our 90-minute session this morning is hosted under the Supply Chain Management Special Interest Group, which was formerly known as the Digital Supply Chain Management. On behalf of the SCM Steering Committee and AFSAG, I welcome each of you. As usual, I do request that your mics are muted and that your video cameras are switched off. Any questions or comments that you may have can be shared within the chat, which will be monitored throughout and will be answered near the end of the session. Do note that this presentation and recording will be made available on our website hereafter. Just allow us a 24-hour turnaround time, and you will find it under member downloads. I shall now hand you over to Peter de Waal, who will start the session and continue with the speaker introductions. Enjoy, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. And yeah, thanks, Tracy. So I used a bit of AI licensing here to generate this image, and really what supply chain orchestration is really a process of working together in the supply chain. So the 5 pillars we're going to talk about today is about it's about all of the components of the SAP supply chain solution, with the exception of supply chain for procurement. That is normally handled by a team that does the Ariba and supply network collaboration component. This is everything else, so supply chain planning, manufacturing, etc. Now, orchestrate. Okay, so maybe I should just do a proper introduction of myself. Peter de Waal from SAP. I'm in the solution advisory team, and my colleagues here, Ivan Wissing on the screen there, and William next to me here. We are going to present 3 components to you today. So I'll do an overview of the whole solution, and then Ivan and William will do maintenance or asset management, and William will do inventory for us. So if I just bring up the supply chain pillars, it is really components that are built on top of the S/4HANA space, and we still call it S/4HANA Business Suite, Enterprise Management, etc. But it really is all of the supply chain components are built on top of the solution. Not all of them are embedded in the solution. Some of them are additional on top of it. So we have cloud-based solutions for most of these, and then some of it is included in the S4 landscape. On top of that, we have the networks, and that's where I said Ariba and the the maintenance network components are essentially built into these. So if you communicate and collaborate with external parties, whether it is maintenance external parties, procurement, or even your customers, you could use then a network. By the way, all of these components are natively integrated, so there's, of course, no need to build the integration with each other, except when you send 2 networks, the customers would then need to join that network. All of these use the same platform for analytics and performance. So we have SAP Analytics Cloud, which we use extensively through S4 and the supply chain components. They have built-in analytics, but then they are also then integrated in SAP Analytics Cloud. And the beauty of that now is that you bring all of your S4 data, your supply chain data, your network data, all into a single analytics layer. And then, of course, this is a thing that we have to say, artificial intelligence, and we have to say it because it is so fully integrated into our solutions now that we are releasing new AI functions all the time. So William will show a little bit of the AI functions within inventory today. So hopefully you can use some of those already. But they are really built into all of these components. So new agents being built and new functionality in terms of monitoring, forecasting modules, etc., that are enabled through artificial intelligence. Okay, now if I take each of these components and I focus a little bit deeper, and I'm not adding a lot of detail. Essentially, when you talk about planning, planning has components related to advanced available to promise, detailed scheduling, so production planning and detailed scheduling, sales and operations, demand planning, inventory optimization. And on the side there, you'll see MRO, spare parts, and resource planning, which is part of the planning component. In manufacturing, connecting to IoT, doing all of your OEE, or your original equipment effectiveness calculations, your insights into manufacturing. There's an orchestration function within manufacturing as well, where you connect all of your machines together, and then they pass information to each other. So if you have a filling line sending into a packaging line, that orchestration happens in the system. And then the execution components, everything related to creating orders, understanding those orders from a cost perspective, and processing those in a manufacturing environment. Sustainability includes everything related to analytics for sustainable businesses, work clearance management, environmental health and safety. All of that is included in the sustainability side, and there are various solutions covering it. My very last slide today will show which product names we have for all of these things, because they are obviously SAP's range of products are massive, and I just put it on there. So if you guys get the slide deck afterwards and there's something specific you want to look at, you could do that. Logistics covers everything related to transportation, yard management within the factories or in terms of loading, and then warehousing and warehouse operations. And then lastly, the component related to maintenance is all of the maintenance functions related to intelligent asset management, enterprise asset management, mobility, execution, scheduling of your resources, and the planning of those resources, all covered. Ivan will touch on this a little bit more in detail. William will touch more on the inventory side, which is in the logistics component here. And then planning and manufacturing will be my main focus for today, although I'll give you some more information on these other components. So companies in the supply chain normally have these kind of needs or need to solve some of these items. And I just put it up because, and then I just focused on some of them. And the idea is that a lot of customers would have things like managing and planning variants in the product. So things like variant configuration, sizes and colors of products. We cover that now in the planning aspect as well. Or in production, you maybe want to have a real-time analytics of the production floor. What is happening? How am I doing? How much scrap am I producing in real time? Or they want to go paperless environment. Or in sustainability, we look at energy consumption. We want to know from a cost perspective which lines consume the most energy, etc. So these are typical challenges that customers face. And normally when we go and visit a customer, these things come up. And there are obviously components that we would help them to solve those. Okay, now this is the supply chain, a simplified image of the supply chain. There's another image covering. Is that helping? I'll get this Teams image missing. Okay, so this supply chain is a simplified version of the entire supply chain. And really what we do is all of the components that we have covering supply chain planning, designing new products, buying of components or raw materials, delivering those in and out, so inbound and outbound processes, producing these products, so whether we are scheduling how we produce them, when we're producing them, and then from a maintenance perspective, operating this factory. Okay, so if we look at the first one, integrated business planning is let's call it our flagship product for planning in the supply chain. We used to in the past have advanced planning and optimization, or APO, but APO has been phased out about, I would say, about 12 years ago already. We still have customers using it, but we've incorporated a lot of that functionality now in IBP. Now, if you're looking at planning and forecasting, the finished goods sales, MRO, the spare parts, all of that we do in here. And it includes components related to MRP. So if you have MRP issues in your businesses, or the planning and forecasting of those finished goods, normally customers use Excel and those things. We would then do all of that planning in integrated business planning. So let's just look at it first from an inbound perspective. So inbound is the spare parts components. So you can imagine in this image we have spare parts that are planned for refurbishment, spare parts that are bought in. All of those planning we can now do in IBP. Now, if we look at IBP as a tool, it really is a central planning hub for SAP. So on the left-hand side here, we have finance planning, sales and marketing, deliveries, inbound deliveries, manufacturing, etc. If you do financial planning, for example, your financial plan is done in SAP Analytics Cloud. A lot of customers use external planning tools, but we can bring that plan into IBP. So let's say your budget or your financial forecast. We can then bring that in IBP and add all of these other components. So what am I going to sell? What's my manufacturing plan? So exploding the bill of material, going right down through to the maintenance side where we can bring maintenance order demand into this planning hub, and then we mash up this whole plan and we can export out of that essentially a new financial plan. And the new, I mean, a capacity optimized achievable plan can now be sent back to finance. We can send our demand plan in for procurement, for sales, for manufacturing, and then do capacity planning, etc., within the planning hub. Now, if I just focus for the inbound side, for maintenance specific, we use the maintenance components related to previous breakdown orders, planned maintenance activities, and that we bring that into IBP, do a demand calculation, and then export out of that a procurement plan. So what do you need to buy? What kind of stock levels are we supposed to have? So safety stock levels, order point planning, economic order quantities, all of those functions are done within IBP and then sent back into S4. So now in S4, you can then just convert that plan into procurement. Now what it is, or how it works, is on the right-hand side here, we see S4HANA operational maintenance activities. So this is where you create maintenance orders, you do your inspections, you do all of your planning for maintenance. But what we do in IBP, we take these demand streams, so projects, so building new projects, fixing maybe large pieces of infrastructure, and we take maintenance orders that are in place, so planned maintenance, so scheduled maintenance, where you see, for example, a monthly maintenance activity, and reactive maintenance, where we've had breakdowns. And we can now take all of those demand elements and calculate from that what the best position would be for your spare parts and what is the best quantities to buy. So we basically aggregate all of this information, calculate this, and then come up with a plan that we're going to send out for procurement. This is a single screenshot that I thought of just taking to show you how this planning tool looks like. So this is integrated business planning for MRO. And you can see here, I just clicked on the inventory. So there are lots of demand sections there where you do forecasting, etc. I just clicked on the inventory input. Inventory input is where you would say, okay, what kind of service level do I want to achieve for spare parts within the business? I can see here if it's vital parts or not. Is it fast moving? What's the planning method? So real point planning or forecast-based planning process. And then we can see here what the replenishment lead times are, what are the average parts usage, what's the service level we want to achieve, etc. So you can now go into a lot more detail to see what these materials should be planned at. And then, of course, with the output, you would then have the output in terms of safety stock levels, etc. So this is part of IBP. One thing that I can say is that when you buy an IBP component, you can do both your supply chain, so your sales and operations planning process, and the maintenance component in the same system. So you get the benefit of planning both raw materials or spare parts and finished goods with production orders all in the same system. Right, now if we go to the supply chain, the traditional supply chain process, if we look on the side here, we have a customer demand that gets it from a warehouse. It goes into a manufacturing facility. We have a bill of material explosion, and then we have raw materials on the side here. This image is actually out of IBP, and it shows that you can plan the entire supply chain in IBP in one go. So you plug in your demand on the right-hand side where what you're going to sell, and it calculates throughout the entire system lead times, production lead times, the capacity situation, etc., throughout this whole supply chain. So we're solving a big problem in customers where we see this kind of landscape. We have Excel, we have emails, we have PowerPoint presentations for the demand planning component. So customers have a vast variety of tools that they use to plan. And then the financial planner has a spreadsheet for his budget, the marketing person have theirs, and they're kind of all working in siloed information. And to try and link these plans together, we see very long planning cycle time. So it takes an entire month to go from a sales forecast throughout this whole planning process, add our budgeting information, etc., together, come up with a plan. So There are consequences to it, and I'm not going to read through it. We see that there are issues with doing this process. And because a lot of customers says they struggle with some of these cross-organizational planning, and the spreadsheets are old and they're not communicating with each other. So what we do in IBP, we take the strategic planning process into, right at the bottom, into S4 planning. So this is a operational environment, so we are planning there. But we link these strategic and operational planning together, first with a budget and then with the sales and operations planning process. So all of these plans now are connected to each other. So when I do a budget, I can see in S&OP what the plan is. And then in S&OP, I can generate a procurement and a production plan and a transportation plan for that matter, and move between these environments using this planning hub that I spoke about, which is integrated business planning. Okay, so we have all these players now working together in the same system. And whenever a sales manager or account executive at a customer comes up with a plan, that plan is immediately visible for demand planning environment, for marketing, for production, for inventory planning, etc. So they all come together in the same system. Now we can cut down that long, month-long planning collaboration process and manage that in IBP, and where you have a nicely structured planning process that you can follow on in here. What we then do is, so as I said, integrated business planning is the hub, but we have now the ability throughout all of our analytics processes to come up with a control tower. Now, this control tower consists of various views of that plan. So you're right on top there is your budgeting side, for example. So you have your budgeted numbers and your revenues that you're expecting, etc. But as you're going down into the supply network or into manufacturing or into your yard, you can essentially now have a focused control tower view of each of those areas. And they're all integrated. So business users in the supply chain, let's say in the network planning, can log on and see what's their network looking like. Or in the sales side, where we have sales delivery or SAP delivery status, where our sales orders are delivered, what's the status of those? Or warehouse management at the bottom there. So this is really where it all comes together in a control tower view. As I mentioned, there's a process, and we call this kind of the unified planning process. There's a best practice that is available for this. So if you want to take on a challenge of fixing your supply chain planning, there's a best practice, and we guide you exactly how that works. So if you're looking, for example, at sales and operations planning, it's the process of taking demand planning, supply planning, etc. together. But then as you drill down into the more extended tactical planning, so where you do inventory optimization, or you do maybe the demand sensing, where on the very short term, you're selling more than what you expected, that demand sensing would then be able to tell you, listen, you need to up your plan because you're going to run out of stock. Or as you're going down into the operational side on the very short term, so what's happening next week or even this week? What actions do I need to take for that? So like, for example, the deployment or transportation load building for the next truckloads. And then lastly, we drop it straight into S4. And this is typically where the orders are taken. So sales orders, production orders, purchase orders, and this is the executional side. So as you can see, S4 is still the basis for all of the transactions, but then all of this information is shared into IBP, and that then helps us to process in S4. Okay, so what I did now is I've got a couple of screenshots just to show how the planning looks like in integrated business planning for a standard supply chain. So this is not the inbound side, this is more of the standard supply chain. Here we can see for a product group, a demand plan. So on the right-hand side here, we can see last year's forecast, current year forecast, what's the plan, the planner's input quantity, this kind of information. If we add more, how do we get to that forecast? We have best fit forecast methods. So we use multiple forecast tools or forecast methods to try and come up with the best approach for that forecast. Or if we go into supply planning, this is really trying to do an inventory planning process. So as you can see here, we can see our inventory on hand. This normally comes out of S4. We see what demand there is for a certain product, and then we can do the inventory target setting, and then come up with a evaluated inventory quantity. So this is, what is the value of that inventory? So imagine sending that information to your financial directors saying, for the next few months, I can see this is the inventory levels that we're going to carry, and then obviously put that into the budgeting process. Or we can go into a manufacturing side where we see the manufacturing capacity here. On the top here, we can see the demand for capacity, and there are weeks where the demand outstrips the available production capacity. And it is shown in red like this. So there are tools in here to optimize the production plan. So when you run the production optimizer, it can then produce that product maybe in previous weeks where we have low production periods, and build a little bit of stock to carry us through this high demand periods here. And then finally, I mentioned the control tower for supply chain. This is called intelligent visibility. You can now have a visualization of your supply chain, and then there are alerts being generated for where there are potential issues. So maybe you're running out of stock, or there's a lead time issue, and you need to focus in on some areas. And the nice part about this is it's highly customizable for your business. So you can say, I want to look at a certain product group or product range, or I want to look at my outbound side or my inbound side. So this view, you can have different layers of it for your business. Okay, now if we go over to manufacturing, manufacturing is really taking the standard digital core. So if we look at S4HANA, what you're seeing on screen here now is the standard functionality in S4. So here we have, if you've been using ECC for a long time now, we have essentially ECC on steroids here. And I say on steroids because what we've done, of course, all the functionality is still there, but we've got new views and analytics with AI functionality on top of that ECC environment. So I'm going to just highlight one. For example, if you take MRP, MRP is a calculation tool, but now what we can do version-based MRP with predictive functionality in it. So you can create scenarios for MRP and predict what will happen in terms of stock levels and procurement, etc. So you now have the ability to have MRP and capacity planning all in one go, where you would then being able to solve that plan better. But all of the functions that you are used to, quality management, your manufacturing reporting, and that better reporting functions available, being able to produce, make to order, make to stock, etc., are still there. But now if I extend it, and on top here we have all of these new pillars or there's new information that we can now have. And as you can see, there are components that are built into S4. However, it does require some additional licensing. So it is embedded in S4 with some additional licensing. So a lot of customers opt maybe for constraint-based production planning and scheduling, but they don't pay for it. They don't pay if they don't use it. So if you just have S4 with normal production, you don't need to use that. And then right on top here, we have the modular solutions, which are all cloud-based. The integrated business planning, digital manufacturing is our. In the old days, we used to have a product called MII, and MII went through a phase where we went into a component called manufacturing execution. And then in the last couple of years, we moved into digital manufacturing, which is a out-the-box standard manufacturing solution that you can use. You bolt it onto, or you integrate it into S4, and it now gives you shop floor connectivity capability. And I'll go into that a little bit more now. So how does this all work together? We have all of our analytics tools on the left. We have integrated business planning, and then digital manufacturing really takes that integrated business plan that we have, and we bring it more into a shop floor environment. Our customers often use paper-based shop floor processes. So they create a production order in S4, in ECC or S4, print out the order, and give it to the operators to go and produce, or to the supervisors, etc. Then the production process happens, and then at the end of that production process, they write on that piece of paper, which are normally customized for that customer, how much raw materials they've issued, what was produced, how long did it take, etc. And then they give it to a production clock, which will, after tea time, will capture that information. And what we see with that is obviously it's not a real-time environment. Often the stock levels are depleted in an area, and when that information is captured, the system doesn't have the right information. There's issues with the goods issues, the goods receipts, etc. And then there's costing issues on the production orders. So what we've done now with digital manufacturing, we publish this information down to the shop floor into a production operator dashboard. All of the steps of the production order are on here, and the operator have now a nice and simple dashboard. You can see in this case, this is mixing, I think this was for paint. So this was for a paint. There's a pre-mix process, there's a mixing phase, and there's a cleaning phase. So imagine the operator clicking on the add premix component. He starts the step, and then he gets work instructions and a weighing and dispensing function, etc., that are available to him to, in real time, as he's doing the work, capture that information. So now you see the instructions. It explains to him exactly how to do that step. You can see the machines, you can see where the measurement equipment is sitting, and we can also then read information from the scales, open valves, send information from the valve, which is connected through the IoT functionality, send that information into S4 as it happens. You can automate some of that, or the operator can validate it before he sends it. And then this one, for example, is a weighing, is if you have a scale on the production process. So the scale sitting there, it's integrated into digital manufacturing. As the product gets put onto the hopper or the scale, it simply says capture, and the data is recorded into S4. All of these parameters, like have you cleaned the machine, is it complete, that kind of things you can record. And then do instantaneous recording, maybe from a flow meter, or maybe a temperature sensor, humidity, etc. All of that information can then be brought automatically from the machines into the order. Now, the question is, so why do we need this? I mean, if you look at this dashboard, this is a manufacturing dashboard that shows you in real time how the factory is running. We can see how many orders we started on time, how many did we finish, what's the first time pass rate for quality and for quantities. Now, what's the machine availability? What's our conformance on our production process? So this screen that you see here is really a aggregated view of the entire factory in terms of what are the quality issues, what are the machine performance, etc. So these information comes then directly from the operators, and we can see that as it happens. Now, when we look at how we connect these things, so on the right-hand side is a representation of the factory. So normally on the left-hand side, we implement ERP, so S4 or ECC, and that's kind of where it stops, because then the rest of the processes are all manual. If you look on the right-hand side, it kind of shows a CEO or operations manager or so sitting there, and he's wanting to see this information. And below that's all the plants, the production lines, the assets. What we are now able to do is link the entire structure using connectivity to these machines, and we can then bring this information into ERP. So there's a whole lot of functions available to connect this. So Plant Connector is that tool. It's built based on what we used to have in MRI, but it is now part of the digital manufacturing process. And then when we take it a bit further, when you go in more, maybe you want to get more information on the production line and go in and analyze what happens on that production line. There are out-the-box analytics available, things like this, or you can click and drag fields into a analytics view, and you want to say, I want to see my production orders that was produced by shift 3 for, maybe for a certain period, and I want to see the scrap that they've produced. Maybe you have a team that are doing something different to other teams. You want to compare that and see. That self-service analytics is available in digital manufacturing. So you can drill down then by shift, by what kind of progress they're making, etc. Or you can aggregate that information nicely and say, well, I want to see my OEE for a specific day or for a specific production order, see my availability, my performance, quality, etc. that was produced in that process. Okay, so that's a quick view of manufacturing, so planning and manufacturing. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of hop, skip, and jump over some of these things in a bit quicker, so I can hand over to William and Ivan. So from a logistics perspective, what I want to say is that we cover the storage component, so store efficiently, deliver sustainability, and collaborate. Now, if we talk about store efficiently, it is making sure that we have the storage capacity, that we know what is in that capacity or in that facility. When we deliver, to make sure that we use the shortest routes, the best delivery lanes, that we load the right components and orders on a truck so that we have a route that we can calculate that for, and then collaborate with our customers and suppliers through that process. So this, from an inventory perspective, we cover everything from an inbound inventory or inbound deliveries to outbound, and then storage in the middle. So looking at warehousing, warehouse capacity, labor management, cross-docking, etc. Those are a little bit more advanced functions. And then we have the standard inventory management and basic warehouse management built into S4. And that's what William is going to take us through just now, a little bit of how that looks like now and what AI functionality is available there. It's fully integrated. This whole process is fully integrated throughout sales, production, EH&S, our global trade services when we're exporting, quality management, etc. So it's a fully integrated solution. And from a transport perspective, we manage strategic freight management, the order management component. Transport planning is big because we know what our customers need when they need it. The product has been produced, but we need to make sure that we have the trucks and the routes planned out before that happens. So when we load, we do that transportation planning process within you. Okay, if we touch on sustainability, which is part of this environmental health and safety component. So sustainability, really, if I just take it as an overarching strategy, we have Sustainability Control Tower that looks at all of the sustainability functionality now. So the product design, the green ledger, and have analytics to look at your business and see how are you doing. Even environmental health and safety in terms of incident management and the health and safety components are part of this sustainability solution. And that's then fully integrated into the business suite. This is some screens of how that information looks like. So, for example, you want to see your compliance rate from a sustainability perspective, or my monthly water cubic meters that I'm using. So a lot of customers are using finance and costing to try and report on this. And now you have the ability to start doing that analytics in the sustainability component. Okay, so, and then lastly, I'm going to touch on asset management. Now, this is more the maintenance side. So everything related to asset management. Now, asset performance management, the workforce planning and performance of your teams, and having a sustainable operation is all part of plant maintenance. Now, what you used to in plant maintenance, creating maintenance orders, incidents, measuring, lockout processes, etc., are all covered in S4. And the part that to me is most exciting is actually moving towards this new mobility component, because traditionally maintenance is the same problem as production. It's all paper-based process. There's a lot of team meetings to try and tell the people what to do and where to go, etc., and phone calls. What we've done at SAP now is we've created a mobile application that handles all of the instructions down to your maintenance team on a mobile application, either on cell phones, on tablets, etc. And the same as production now, where we have real-time updates to our production, to our maintenance team. So our maintenance technicians, as you see here, the warehouse clerk issuing spares to a maintenance order, you can now use a mobile device to do so. The field service technicians, the safety officers do their rounds inspections and all of those things on these devices. It's standard functionality out the box, fully integrated into S4. So that is what excites me. It is a new way of working for our customers. So just to summarize, this is my second last slide. Just to summarize, what I've showed you was this. And as I mentioned, all of our products that cover these solutions. So you'll see here is IBP, there's advanced available to promise or production scheduling, etc. And there's more information on each of these components. So you simply go onto our help portal, type in what you see here, and you would be able to find more information on that. So that is the end of my presentation. I don't know, I didn't monitor if there's any questions online or so. Maybe I can just open for some questions quick, and then we can hand over to William.
Brilliant. Thank you, Peter. If anybody would like to raise their hand. I always say, don't be shy. You're in a safe space. Okay, let's carry on. You're going to be handing over to William.
William, yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, William. You next.
Thank you, Tracy, and good morning to everyone online. Thank you, Peter, for setting the foundation. I'm quickly going to share my screen as well. See it on my side, Peter?
I'm not dialed in. Am I dialed in?
Can you see my screen online?
Do you want to try and put it into presenter mode? Marvelous. Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So my name is William Matosa, Solution Advisor for SAP S4, focusing on supply chain execution in S4. So we're going to go through building a future-ready supply chain with S4HANA inventory management, which in most organizations, it supports the supply chain. So imagine driving this beautiful vehicle here, we'll call it Ultra, where now your vision is blurred. You cannot see what's in front, you cannot see what's on the side. If you are in South Africa, you cannot even avoid potholes, right? It means that you fully doesn't have any visibility, which is one of the challenges that most organizations face when it comes to their inventory. So when you don't have visibility into your inventory, you cannot really optimize the inventory processes of your organization, and also you cannot plan around the supply chain disruption. But what we're doing in S4 when it comes to inventory management, we are flipping the script, right? So S4 inventory management comes with real-time visibility and control. So here you have visibility into your inventory across. So these methods will help you to prevent the stock outs, overstocking, and also you can streamline your replenishment, right? You also have end-to-end integrated process and automation, which simply means that SAP S4HANA connects all important parts of supply chain, and now they can seamlessly communicate with each other. So most of the processes are automated to a point where now you don't have to do manual work. Now you avoid having so much errors within your processes, right? So we also have built-in traceability and compliance. Here you have the functionality to process your items in batch, and also just having the knowledge of knowing, okay, we have these items, where they're coming from, where they're going, and also it helps with returns as well, or recalls. So, and also to comply with our safety regulations. We also have advanced real-time reporting and analytics. I love this one so much. So S4HANA is built with these analytics and also smart AI tools, which now help you to manage your inventory in right quantities across different locations. You will see this when I go into the system. I'm quickly going to go into the system to show you this advanced real-time reporting and analytics. Maybe the question might arise that, okay, we see you are showing S4HANA inventory management. So the functionality that we have in ECC, is SAP getting rid of those? So the simple answer will be no. The functionalities that you have on ECC are still available in S4, but they are more advanced now. So S4HANA is built for scalability. So it supports both the existing and the future innovation within the supply chain. So you can still do your goods receipt. Also, the purchase requisition rates from the PO, and then transition into capturing the invoice. You use the same PO number, which now avoids the errors and also the mistakes. You can also do your goods issue, stock transfer, and all these other functionalities. I would also like to introduce, I'm rushing so much because I'm checking my time. I'm checking my time. So I'd also like to introduce the SAP Business AI. So in this presentation, base it on inventory management, but the Business AI apply across S4. So S4 comes with embedded AI, where in inventory management, for instance, it can help you with goods receipt. So the time I was in warehouse, we will receive shipments in pallets. So when the shipments comes, they'll come with a stack of delivery notes, right? So what we have to do is to sort the item and also go through the delivery note, tick, 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 confirm the quantity. So what happens with embedded AI, it does that for you. So it matches the quantity, the delivery note, and also what's on the purchase order. We also have Joule Assistant as well. So Joule is our co-pilot. So with Joule, you can perform a transaction, you can do navigational, you can also use it to get information. So this is the slide explaining how you can interact with Joule. I think standard, we must start with natural language. When you communicate with Joule, you use natural language. You don't have to be technical. You don't have to prompt it in technical language. You use natural language. So you use it for your navigational purposes, where you can ask it that where can I change multiple purchase requisition at once? Then it will show you transactional. Okay, show me the purchase requisition that are available. Then it will pull the purchase requisition that are available for you. With informational, maybe you have a new hire, they are assigned a specific task within the organization. Maybe it's like your inventory clerk, they want to perform some transactions. So they can ask Joule, what is this? How do I do this? Then Joule will help with that. I think I'm quickly gonna go into the system and show you some of exciting stuff that we have in inventory management in S4. I'm quickly opening my.
Just refresh your screen now.
System. So firstly, I want to show you the dashboard, the analytics that we spoke about, and also the reporting as well that you have. I'm going to just put in plant 1710. So what you're going to see in this screen is the visibility across your plant 1710. This you can also narrow it down, right? You can narrow it down by storage location. You can narrow it down by material, but this is just an overview of Plan 1710 as a whole, where now you have the analysis, the movement analysis. Here you can see that, okay, for this period, we've done goods issue. We've also done our issue count. We've also done our receipt count. And also you can see that, okay, our receipt count, it amounts to this value. Our issue amount, it amounts to this value. You can also personalize or customize your dashboards, right? With everything that you're seeing here on the side. And also you can have visibility to stock that you want into your warehouse facility, your storage facility, overdue stock in transit. So this is stock that you are expecting from, let's say you have a plant here in Joburg and also in Polokwane, Mpumalanga. So this is the visibility into the stock you're expecting from your other plants as well. So it means that here as stock transport order was raised. So now the receiving plant here have visibility. Now they can follow up. Okay, plant, let's open one here. Now they can follow up that, okay, plant 1010, we've requested these items, this quantity of this item, but we haven't received them. What's happening? What's the issue? And also the movement of stock as well. Let me quickly show you the movement of stock as well, where in plant you can move your stock with ease from one storage location to another. I'm just going to use my material. I'll use Plan 1010. So this is your Plan 1710 with all the storage areas that is in that plant. So from this, you can move your stock around. Let's say from storage 17A, from this storage 17A, you want to move 50,000 items to stock inspections. They want to go for stock inspections. Maybe there were some faults, there were some errors. You can just put it in here that, okay, I want to move 50,000 items for inspections. So then this is your material document. It shows you the transaction that you've just performed. Then you can see that, okay, from this storage facility, we've moved 50 items to stock in quantity for inspection. I think one thing that is exciting as well is the KPIs as well, the inventory KPIs, where now you can draw the trends from your inventory that, okay, last year was 2025, this is 2026. How did we perform in Q1, Q2, Q3? For instance, we'll use the same plant here, 1710. Okay, let's add the currency as well. This will depend on the currency that you use for your organization. Then you can have, okay, yes. So I love viewing my stuff in tables, but if you prefer graphical information, you can use the graphs as well. So here you can see that, okay, let's do this for like as per quarter, we're narrowing it down now. Then you can see that, okay, Q2 2025, stock value that we had was this. This is how we perform. For Q2 2024, this is what we had on the system. If you can see here on the side, you also have range of coverage that, okay, we had this inventory. So it lasted us for this long, maybe for production or for sale, depending on the structure of your organization. You can also have like your inventory aging changes. Okay, how long did we keep this stock before it was actually used? You can have your stock changes as well, visibility into your stock changes, consumption changes as well. This you can open down and have full visibility. Then my machine is acting up. Maybe it's because I'm looking at the bigger screen.
Yeah, look at your own screen.
So I think also let me show you the fiscal inventory as well, which is very important for any organization. That with this fiscal inventory, you can create your inventory documentation for like your cycle count. So you have for your, let's just say plan 1010. So here we're going to see the inventory documentation, all inventory documentation, items that are counted and items that are not counted. So here you're just gonna match what's on the shelf, what's on the floor, with what's on the system, just to avoid the discrepancies as well. We'll also like to show you the mobility functionality as well. So these functions that you can do in S4, yeah, inventory management, you can also do them on your mobile device. So I'm quickly gonna take you through that. Just a minute, we're connecting. So with mobility functionality, you can do your inbound, have visibility into your inbound, have visibility into your outbound as well. Let me try to scan.
Where's the dry run?
I think with the dry run, we just browse, we just jumped. But now, what I wanted to show you is it's very cool. So the app also comes with scanning functionality as well, right? Where you can scan, you can do your picking, you can do your put away as well. You can also do your physical inventory as well, have your stock overview. Let me try for the first time to connect on my phone to my machine. So it's one of those things. Let's try for the last time. But if it doesn't work, we have that functionality, the mobility functionality as well in S4. Okay, I found it. Great. So this is my phone now. We are connected to my phone. So this is an app that I'm talking about. It is called SAP Inventory Manager app. This is a demo app that I'm going to use for the sake of this presentation of this session. So this is the landing page on your SAP Inventory Manager app, where now you can have access to your inbound documents. So these are stuff that you are yet to receive into your inventory. So you can open it up, see the item. If you want to receive, you receive all as well. You can also perform put away. So you can see that, okay, this is an item that is stationed for put away. You view the item. You can also cancel the put away as well. You can also do perform reversal. So with outbound, you can do goods issue within the application. For instance, for this item, or for this documentation, outbound documentation, you have items that you have to dispatch from your warehouse. They are stationed by the dispatch bay. So you can just, okay, go into the item, then issue the item to the customer, issue to whoever you want to issue it to. Another functionality that we have is this internal process. So here is where you can perform your fiscal inventory, your reversal, stock overviews, stock transfer, and also you have full visibility into your purchase requisition, purchase orders as well within the application. So I'm going to stop sharing the app now and also share with you. Oh, I think one exciting thing that I must show you is the Joule that we spoke about, the AI. So this is our co-pilot. This is Joule. Should have reminded me, Peter, but I'm forgetting to mention my friend Joule. So like I said, when you talk to Joule, you use natural language. For instance, let's say you want to know if you have open purchase orders for a material, and you can, let me ask it, show me the open. You don't even have to say please when you communicate with Joule. Show me the open purchase orders for material EG11. So Joule is gonna go through your system and scan if we have open purchase order for that material. So it's gonna ask you, please choose or type the display currency, depending on the currency that you use for your organization. I'm going to use Euro for this presentation. So what Joule is going to do is going to scan my processes, and it's gonna bring me up all the open purchase orders for the material that I want. So I can go through these purchase orders as well, just to confirm if it's what I'm looking for, what I want as well. So if it gets to a point where now you want to perform some transactions or you want some additional Joule skills, we have Joule Studio. So within Joule Studio, you can build your own Joule skills that are going to cater the needs of your organization. And you can also build your own AI agent that's gonna help you with your daily business processes. So with that said, you unlock the inventory efficiency, right? Now you have full visibility into your stock. You know what to stock, how many to stock. You reduce your cost. Now you can see performance of your items, how they perform, how they stay on the system. You reduce the days as well in inventory. And also you minimize the stock outs with the physical count. Now you're matching what's on the floor. You're also matching it with what's on the system. So, which brings us to our point. So, with clear visibility, you can plan, you can drive your car with confidence, you can also mitigate the supply chain disruptions. So, in this instance, visibility cannot really be a luxury, but visibility is more of speed, agility, flexibility as well. So what I would like you to take away from this session when it comes to S4 inventory management is that you have real-time visibility and transparency across your inventory. You also have your embedded analytics and reporting, and also the operational efficiency and automation that is enhanced by what? By mobility. So you take your processes everywhere, you can perform your processes everywhere within the organization without having to log onto your system. With that said, I'll stop here. Thank you so much, everyone. Don't know if there are any questions, but if now there are additional questions, you can pop them on the chat. We'll check the chat box. I'll hand over to you, Ivan.
You're on mute, Ivan.
Yeah, let me try again. Thank you, Peter. Good morning, everyone. Yes, my name is Ivan. I'm also from the Solution Advisory Team for SAP here in Johannesburg. And yeah, I'm going to take you about on the operate portion of our supply chain, which is the basically the maintenance environment. So let me just, am I sharing?
You are, but you need to share your presentation.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, sure. Let me just get my presentation going. That's the presentation now sharing.
Brilliant.
Okay, cool. All right, so the in line with our company's mission is to help the world run better. You know, we would like to help you to ensure that your assets runs better, for you to then get the benefits of having this. Let me just also hide this quickly. See if I can get it out. Good. So I was watching the Masters 2 weeks ago. I don't know how many of you are into the golf, but I found it very exciting. I'm a very bad golfer, and I thought it was quite appropriate, you know, that from a SAP point of view, that what we would like to do is we want to give you a set of clubs that you can use to, you know, to make your golf better, and then from a maintenance point of view to help your assets then run better. So I'm going to speed up play because I don't have much time because my colleagues have consumed some of mine. But then there are various terminologies that are floating around in the asset space. So we've got our plant maintenance, which was the old naming convention for our maintenance solution. Then we've got the enterprise asset management, which is basically the maintenance management solution or maintenance execution portion that's embedded within our S/4HANA core. But we have expanded the scope of our solutions to the intelligent asset management. And that is the purpose of today's session, is to introduce the scope of the solution so that, you know, in future, you know, you can reach out to us for if you need any further information on those topics. But the principle of having this intelligent asset management, and I think Peter alluded to that in his overview, and William also spoke about it in his inventory management. It is to provide you with, first of all, end-to-end business processes, because that's the selling point of an ERP system, is that it is end-to-end. But then from a maintenance point of view, we also would like to think that it is a closed loop process. What do we mean by closed loop? Is that all the data at the end of the day that you want to use ends up in your S4 system. So it also then gives you a complete view of your asset lifecycle. So we think that we can help you to manage the complete lifecycle process, or the lifecycle sequence of your assets. And then, as William also showed us, which is now the new trend, is to innovate and accelerate with AI. So AI is becoming more and more relevant. I mean, early this year, we only had 1 or 2 AI topics for asset management specific. Now we've got quite a number of, so it is growing exponentially. If you look at the objectives of maintenance, what is it? Why do we have this solutions, or why do people do maintenance? And in short, it's just to have a cost-effective availability of your assets. You know, so availability is important in the manufacturing space. We would like to have our assets, you know, available for as much time so that we can produce as much as we can and then sell as much as we can. But all of that, obviously, there's a cost limitation. So unfortunately, we've got budgetary constraints, and that's the fine balancing act. And then the third component is our to make sure that this is all done in a safe environment. So that also is a third component to the objectives. So this is a picture. So I'm speeding along because I see I've only got a few minutes left. So hopefully, please forgive the speed. So if you look at the asset life cycle, you know, we start off on the left-hand side here at the top, where we got investment to commission. So this is the whole investment cycle where we do our strategic planning, which then brings us to the financial side and the portfolio management side. Then we execute the project. So this is taking the view of where we actually create the project via creating an asset via project, but you can also procure assets. And then, you know, once from a project point of view, and also if we procure it, there's a commissioning happening. And in the commissioning phase, that is where a lot of the data that we need inside our ERP then gets registered, and you know, and then we've also got some tools that can help with that. And then it's the information management side, where we now can, you know, where you can set up your maintenance structure of your functional location hierarchies for the maintenance, your equipment definitions, your material management side, your task management from the asset side, etc. So all of those things then happen in the asset information management portfolio. So moving along into the reliability and assessment and recommendation management. So these are now tools that we make available for the reliability engineers, where they can actually decide, you know, do risk assessments on the assets, decide, you know, what other tools or what, you know, what route they want to follow to determine optimized maintenance strategy. So then you can do your reliability-centered maintenance or your failure modes and effect analysis. And out of that will come out recommendations that will then be proposals that will then flow through into your S4, and then your maintenance planner, etc., can then take those recommendations and convert them into either a maintenance plan, or if it's a maintenance frequencies that needs to be changed, or maintenance task list that needs to be updated. So it's updating then your maintenance strategy for you. Following that route, we get the asset health monitoring. Now, this is where we, in line with our MES, so Peter explained in the MES that you can then also link up to the shop floor. So from the asset performance management, we've got similar functionality, which allows you then to link up to sensors specifically for maintenance, where they can then feed that readings into your environment. And then there are rules that apply that will then trigger alerts for you. So that's sort of automate your condition monitoring for you. But it also will calculate your asset health. So you will set up scoring mechanisms. So in the overview screens, you can then see, how healthy your assets are in the current operating window. Then we move into the operational side, which is then the traditional plant maintenance for the ECC customers and for the enterprise asset management for the S4 space. And that is where we then create maintenance orders, do the maintenance planning, the scheduling and dispatching, the maintenance execution, and then, the confirmation and results. Now with S4 specifically, the big benefits, I think of it from a maintenance point of view is, first of all, if you look at the list editing functionality that you are used to in ECC, with the S4, you can now create your own layouts quite easily. It's really a pull-down screen, and you can select the fields that you want to display. You can also select the filters. It's also very simplified from a Fiori point of view, which will then give you the scope of the report that you're looking for. And I think that is also quite a big benefit from the S4, is making that accessibility to reports easy. We've also then got some embedded analytics, and then from a information point of view, that data can then also flow into our analytics cloud for reporting. And then to close the loop from a financial side, it links up to your asset accounting. And then whenever the asset reaches ends of life, whether it's from a financial point of view or from a maintenance point of view, you can then, scrap or resell or sell the assets, whatever you want to do, but ensure that all the data then actually gets tagged appropriately. So, and that is, I think, one of the big challenges that we have in the maintenance space, is to ensure our, that our data remains accurate and worthwhile. And for that, we've also got some partner solutions that will help you with your master data governance inside your SAP system. So moving along, if you look at then what are the clubs that we are providing, if we go back to my golfing story, is that, and this is similar to what Peter also showed you, where we have got the business technology platform at the bottom, and then we've got our enterprise asset management that's embedded within the S4 or the ERP environment. And looking at the clubs or the tools that we now make available, and these are then the different solutions that you can then use. So we've got the master data governance and collaboration, which is now that network that Peter spoke about, where you can collaborate with your suppliers and with your OEMs, to create a standard view of your specific asset, and then you can use that across your different plants. If you have got multiple plants, or if you've got multiple instances of that technical object, you can copy that across. Then the asset strategic asset management planning, so that Peter also touched on, which is that IBP for MRO, where we then can look at the spare parts and the labor requirements that we have for executing our asset management. That gets converted into monetary values, and then that can also assist with the maintenance budget planning. The asset performance management, so I spoke about that also. It's the, that is where we're looking at the reliability engineering, the maintenance planning and scheduling, dispatching. We've got some really smart scheduling tools that we've now made available. In the past, we lacked, I think, the specific capability in our solutions. We had MRS, which was also a good solution. But if you didn't have any other third-party product or MRS, scheduling was difficult. But we now have got some new tools that you can utilize to optimize your scheduling environments, depending on, what approach you want to take. Then also supporting the asset masters, we've got the spatial asset management, which includes the GIS integration, so you can see your assets on a map. You can also see other maintenance objects on a map, like your work orders, your notifications, etc. And then specifically for people with linear assets, the railway lines, roads, utilities with networks, etc., that you can actually then also segmentize your linear asset into components or segments, where you can then manage it more accurately and according to the different segments that you defined. The mobile execution is, I think that was the poster child of our Industry 4.0, where it then allows your maintenance technicians to get all the information that they need to go and execute the jobs, and then also provide feedback via the mobile. Now, the mobile becomes more and more important, in my opinion, because it increases the accuracy of your data that you have in the system, which then means that the AI, that is now the next step, which then consumes accurate data so that it will now predict and forecast and give you some accurate AI calculations back for you to consume. And then the reporting and analytics. So that is also something that's been really quite advanced in the S4 space. So this is when we talk about the intelligent asset management, this is the solution stack. So let me just see how much time I've got. So this is a whirlwind tour. I see I've got 7 minutes left. So first of all, if you look at the asset planning, and as I said, Peter alluded to it, but it gives you then a long-term view of your maintenance planning in terms of the labor that you would need. And also the materials that you would also have available for your maintenance to be executed. It then also calculates the stock levels, the optimization. So then William and his clan will be happy that, we've got at least whatever the stock levels are that we have to keep in our inventory. And this tool makes use of advanced forecast models, which Peter also explained, and it actually then uses that forecasting functionality to create the information that we are looking for. This then also can provide inputs into our financial asset planning, because now we've got the quantities and the values as per our team, and that can then flow through into our financial planning, which will then assist with the maintenance budgeting. So this is the next solution that is quite, I think you guys or the user community finds this quite informative, and also there's some demand for it at least. So we're looking at, how can we then improve the strategies that we apply to our maintenance, because now we are doing maintenance, we don't really know. Yes, we're getting our KPIs from the system, but what can we then do to improve our KPIs? So if our availability is X over time, how can we change it to Y? And we can do that by changing maybe our maintenance strategies that we perform. So this is the tool that you can then use to evaluate your risks on your assets. So it will then determine the risk calculations, because we don't want to do asset performance management on all assets. You can just, you want to do it on the ones that are of most importance. So that will then give you the asset reliability at scale. So you can then use, as I mentioned, the IFMEA and the RCM and other reliability techniques to evaluate or to analyze the current strategy that you are following, and then also to review, then to say, well, these are maybe new changes that you can do to the current strategy that will improve. So this then will flow back into the S4. So that's then the implementation of the improvement strategies. And it is a continuous business improvement cycle. So you can do this as often as you can. There are also some tools that will allow you to do this per class. So you don't have to do it for asset specific. You can do it per asset class should you want to. And then the third one, or the last point there, is to monitor the performance with IoT and AI. So this is now where we then can start to use the predictive maintenance as well as the sensor readings that will flow into the system, and then based on the rules, I'll create some triggers. So this is something that really will help you to automate your maintenance environment to an extent. This is the network that Peter also spoke about, and we got now these networking capabilities across most of our solutions, and our asset management space is no different. And as I said, this is a portal where you can then send information to your or share information with whoever you want to share it with, whether it's your OEMs or whether it's your service providers, and vice versa. So this is also something that you can use to automate your communication with external parties. Then the spatial asset management, as I said, you can now view your information on a map. This is specifically of interest to utilities, railways, road agencies, etc. But even mines, other companies, organizations will also have pipelines and other linear assets that you might want to manage through the segmentation. So this just gives you the functionality to view your assets in a linear way, to see them on a map, and then you can also use that mapping integration to highlight high risk areas from maintenance, or high maintenance areas, looking at the number of maintenance orders and notifications that you have for specific areas. Then the maintenance scheduling, yes. So we've got now functionality that will allow you to populate the the service agreements that you have, set up rules and policies, and then the system will, based on those rules and policies that you've set up, will then determine optimized maintenance schedule for you. You can do that on work center level, or you can do that on the individual level. And the reason for doing it on the individual level is that we want to send the data through to our mobile, or to our workforce, where they having their mobile devices, and that will then push that specific notifications of these are the maintenance orders that you need to attend to their mobile devices, and then they can then go away and perform their work. It's important to understand that this mobile device is a offline device, so you can actually download the information and then go to areas where there are no reception, and you can then continue working, and then once you're back within range, it will then upload the new orders that you've created, the feedback that you've given, etc. And that is where this is the difference then from the mobile solutions. Compare that with the normal Fiori, which requires you to have online capability. The last one is the dynamic forms. One of the nice features of this mobile solution is the dynamic forms. That's the smart forms on steroids, where you can now define these forms that people need to or the technicians need to complete. They can be safety related, they can be inspection lists, they can be quality readings, etc., that they need to take. So this smart forms is then assigned to the work orders as well, which will then be displayed or accessible from your mobile device, where the technician can then update those forms. And then once the data is there, he will then update it. So I see that I'm almost done. Insights and real-time reporting. Yeah, that is it. So I'm not going to spend too much time on the mobility, but this is just a list of mobile solutions that are available. And just to highlight maybe one or two, is that, you know, for specific, when you create a new maintenance order, the system will look at past orders and it will come up with a proposal. So you can then select and say, yes, this one is more accurate, and it will copy that information across for you. So that is also some of the nice, I've included some of them, but oh yeah, this is the other one, the briefing, which will give the technician a summary of what's happening regarding the assets that he's working on the technical objects. So I'm just going to skip this. And then just to conclude, and I think this is a good way to stop, so just to make sure that we are in time, just to make sure that we don't waste time.
Never seen an afternoon like this.
So hopefully there's sound, I don't know.
All right. That's one.
Yeah, so hopefully that tool set will help you to bring out your best and hole in one. Just on that story there were 3 holes in one on that specific day at Augusta. Yeah, so thank you for your time.
I've been here.
So, I don't know if there's, I guess we've run out of time.
So brilliant. There is no questions in the chat. If somebody would like to, if you want to ask a question, you're most welcome to put it still in the chat if you like. Obviously the chat will remain live, but I'm going to close the session. It is just gone past 10:30. On behalf of the Supply Chain Management Steering Committee, thank you to our 3 SAP experts for your time. It has been a very interesting 90 minutes. I have shared the post feedback. If you could take a moment to just complete it for us, we would be appreciative of that. But having said that, I'm going to end the meeting. Stay well, stay safe, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Thank you so much.
All right, cheers.